He returned the exiled alien girl. They wanted her killed, but fate had other ideas. Leon Durand had seen plenty of shady deals over his 17 years as a smuggler, but something about this one made the hairs on his neck stand up. The client, a tall, intimidating alien with skin like polished copper and eyes that seemed to swallow light rather than reflect it, had offered him triple his usual fee. The mission's straightforward, the alien said, sliding a data chip across the battered table of a dingy spaceport bar. Find the girl, deliver her here, no questions asked. Leon turned the chip over in his rough hand, feeling its weight and the promised credits. There's always a catch when it pays this well, he thought. The alien's mouth twitched into what might have been a smile on a human face. The catch? She's on Dune's End, forgotten world at the edge of the Thalassian Trail? Damn it, Leon muttered, taking a long drink. Dune's End was infamous, a desert hellhole where sandstorms could strip the flesh from your bones in minutes. And who exactly am I bringing back? Her name's Elira. She's politically important, an exiled heir of the Veridon bloodline. Leon whistled quietly. The Veridons had been power players in the galactic hierarchy for ages, known for their ruthless tactics and strange talents. And why would an heir be banished to that wasteland? The alien said, standing to leave, that's a question no one asks. 3 days later, Leon's ship, the Nomad's Fortune, pierced Dune's atmosphere, groaning and protesting against the planet's brutal winds. The navigation system had identified a series of underground structures, ancient catacombs carved into the bedrock beneath the endless dunes. After landing and securing his ship, Leon suited up in his environmental gear and stepped into the searing heat. The twin suns blazed down relentlessly, and even with his suit's cooling system, sweat began to bead on his forehead. The entrance to the catacombs was concealed beneath a massive rock formation shaped by the wind. Leon fired up his plasma cutter and quickly broke through the sealed opening, exposing a dark tunnel that stretched deep underground. The air inside was unexpectedly cool and breathable. He took off his helmet, his hand instinctively resting on his blaster at his hip as he pressed onward. The walls were covered in strange glowing symbols that cast an eerie blue light across the ancient halls. After what felt like hours wandering through the maze of corridors, he finally stepped into a large chamber. In the middle stood a slender figure, her back facing him as she gazed at a holographic star map flickering above. Leon called out, "Elira Veridon," his voice reverberating in the vast space. The figure turned, and Leon's breath caught. She was undeniably alien, yet stunningly beautiful in a way that defied her origins. Her skin shimmered with a lavender hue, touched by silvery undertones in the faint glow. Snow-white hair flowed over her shoulders, partially braided in detailed patterns. She wore a tight-fitting white bodysuit with bright orange accents that highlighted her lively figure. Around her neck hung a pendant with a blood-red gemstone that shimmered with an inner glow. "You're late," she said, her voice smooth and tinged with amusement. "I expected you yesterday." Leon frowned. "How did you know I was coming?" Elira smiled mysteriously. Her eyes, a deep violet without visible pupils, seemed to see right through him rather than at him. "The same way I know you're Leon Durand, the one who's been smuggling for 17 years, and that you enjoy Arcturian whiskey." "Lucky guess," Leon muttered, a bit unsettled. "There's no such thing as luck," she replied, stepping closer. "Only patterns most miss." Her slender fingers brushed his arm. "Shall we go? I've waited long enough on this cursed rock." As they moved back through the tunnels, Leon couldn't shake the feeling he was overlooking something vital. Elira moved with a graceful confidence, as if she knew exactly what was coming. Occasionally, she cast him a cryptic smile. Her eyes hid secrets he could hardly begin to understand. So he asked, "What did you do to get exiled to this place?" She simply replied, "I saw too much and said what I saw to the wrong people." "That's not much of an answer." Elira chuckled, a delicate sound like wind chimes in a soft breeze. "It's the only one you're getting for now, Captain Durand." Back on the ship, she sank into the co-pilot seat as if she belonged there, her fingers brushing lightly over the controls. "You've made some interesting modifications, the cloaking system is especially clever." Leon looked at her. "How did you? The same way I know we need to leave immediately. A sandstorm's coming in from the east and will hit us in about 12 minutes. Sure enough, when Leon checked the sensors, a huge storm was closing in. He started the engines and entered the coordinates for departure. As the Nomad's craft broke through the atmosphere, Elira leaned back in her seat, that mysterious smile playing on her lips once more. "You're wondering if you've made a mistake." She spoke softly, "The job bringing me back." Leon's hands clenched tighter on the controls. "Have I?" Her violet eyes, unsettling yet captivating, locked onto him. "That really depends on what happens next." The Nomad's fortune slipped into hyperspace with a gentle jolt, stars stretching into brilliant streaks outside the viewport. Leon activated the autopilot, shifting his chair to face Elira, his face set in suspicion. "Time to talk," he said, reaching into the hidden compartment under her seat and pulling out a small communication device. "Found this while you were freshening up. Care to explain why an exile princess has military-grade encryption tech?" Elira's violet eyes flickered with surprise for a brief second before she regained her composure. "You're more observant than I thought." She crossed her legs, a movement that drew Leon's gaze despite himself, more carefully this time. "Answer the question." She sighed, leaning forward and taking the device from his hand, her fingers brushing his. That contact sent an unexpected jolt through him. She twirled the device between her fingers, saying she needed insurance. "My exile wasn't exactly official," she added. Leon's brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" Elira explained, "That means I picked you, Leon Durand. Out of all the smugglers and mercenaries in the galaxy, I chose you to be the one to find me." The news struck Leon hard, like a punch to the stomach. "The client dash was working for me?" Her lips curled into that mysterious smile, more frustrating than charming. "I needed someone with your particular skills and moral latitude." Leon suddenly stood up, pacing the cramped cockpit. "So this was a setup from the beginning? What's your game?" Elira's face grew serious. "My family plans to spark a war with Earth. I want to stop it." The words lingered between them. Leon had heard whispers of tension between the Veridon Consortium and human colonies, but a full-blown war? That was new. Why would they want to fight us? She answered simply, "Fear. Humans are unpredictable. You adapt faster than any species in the galaxy. Over 3 centuries, you've transformed from primitive planetary inhabitants into a power-rivaling civilizations thousands of years older." She gestured toward him, "Look at you, a single human who routinely outsmarts the galaxy's most advanced security systems." Leon couldn't suppress the smirk that crept onto his face. "Flattery won't get you anywhere." "If it's true, it's not flattery," she replied smoothly, rising from her seat with a graceful flow. She stepped closer, enough for him to catch her scent, something exotic, intoxicating, like sweet flowers after rain. "My family considers humanity a threat to be wiped out. I see potential allies. So, what exactly do you want from me?" Leon asked, keenly aware of her closeness. "To get me to the Galactic Council, I possess evidence of my family's plans, proof that will reveal their warmongering and prevent a conflict that could devastate both our worlds." Leon examined her face, searching for any signs of deception. "And you couldn't just hijack a passenger liner because," she stepped closer, "there are those who'd kill to stop me from reaching the council. My own family included." Their eyes locked, and Leon felt something shift between them. A look that had nothing to do with suspicion, but everything to do with how her breath mingled with his. "You're asking me to possibly make an enemy of one of the most powerful families in the galaxy." His voice came out rougher than he intended. Elira reached up, her cool fingers tracing the line of his jaw. "I'm asking you to help save millions of lives, including your own people." Her touch sent heat rushing through him. He grabbed her wrist, planning to push her away, but found himself holding on instead. "How do I know you're telling the truth?" "You don't," she admitted, "but I believe you can feel it." And damn it, he could. There was something about her, beyond her alien beauty and mysterious charm, that resonated deeply with truth. "Okay," he said finally, "but from now on, no more secrets." Her lips lifted into a subtle smile. "I can't promise that, but I do promise to be honest about what matters." Leon let go of her wrist, But she didn't step back, instead, she drew closer, closing the gap between them. "There's something else you should know," she whispered. Her voice took on a husky tone that gave him a shiver. "The attraction you're feeling? It's mutual." Before Leon could say anything, alarms blared through the ship. The proximity sensors had spotted another vessel emerging from hyperspace nearby. Expecting visitors, he asked, hesitantly pulling away to scan the scanners. Elira's face grew darker. "No, but I'm not surprised. My family's got resources everywhere." Leon cursed softly. "We've got about 10 minutes before they're in weapon range. Any ideas?" She moved to stand beside him, her shoulder brushing his as she looked at the scanner readout. "Yes, but you probably won't like it." Later, as they lay in his quarters, the sheets tangled around them and the ship concealed in the magnetic storm of a nearby nebula. Leon traced the silvery patterns that shimmered across Elira's lavender skin. That was, he began struggling to find words. "Different," she supplied, a smile playing on her lips as she nestled against his chest. Leon chuckled. "I was going to say, incredible, but different works too." The physical connection between them had been unexpected, both familiar and alien at once. Her body responded to his touch in ways both recognizable and utterly foreign, creating a harmony of sensation that had left them both breathless. "In my culture," Elira said softly, "physical intimacy is rare. We're taught to guard ourselves. Our bodies and our minds." "So why me?" Leon asked, genuinely curious. She looked up at him, those violet eyes suddenly vulnerable. "Because you see me as I am, not as a Veridon, not as a political tool. Just me." The admission touched something in Leon he thought long buried, a capacity for connection beyond the physical. "We should get some rest," he said, pulling her closer. "We've got a long journey ahead." As Lyra's breathing grew steady into sleep, Leon gazed at the ceiling, pondering what he'd gotten himself into. And why? For the first time in years, he had no regrets. Leon woke to the gentle glow of emergency lights and a gasp from Lyra. He shot up, finding her sitting at the bed's edge, clutching her pendant. The red gemstone was throbbing with an unnatural light, casting strange shadows on her lavender skin. "What's going on?" he asked, instantly alert. "It's activating," she whispered, her voice strained with worry. "Something I never thought possible outside Veridon space." The pendant's light grew brighter, projecting a holographic display that flooded the tiny cabin with alien text streams and intricate diagrams. Leon saw star maps and what looked like weapons schematics amidst the images. "Is that what I think it is?" he asked as he moved closer. Lyra nodded, her eyes filled with awe and unease. "This isn't just a trinket. It's a data storage system, an AI linked to my DNA." She brushed the pendant softly. "My grandmother gave it to me before she passed away. She said it held the truth, but I never fully understood what she meant." Leon examined the projections with increasing worry. "Those look like planetary defense arrays. And those," he pointed to a series of orbital stations. "They're positioned around human colonies. The Veridon family has been planning this war for decades." Elira said, her voice empty, "But this is much bigger than I thought." As they watched, the hologram shifted to show something else. An ancient structure buried beneath what looked like a desolate moon. "What am I seeing?" Leon asked. Elira's face darkened. The real reason behind the war. She deftly moved the projection with practiced gestures. "This is a ruin from a civilization older than any known galactic species." "I've heard rumors about the precursors," Leon said. "Most folks consider them myths." "They're very real," Elira countered. "And my family has uncovered one of their weapon caches. The war with humanity is just a diversion while they dig up and activate technology they barely comprehend." Dependence suddenly let out a high-pitched whine, and the hologram flickered. A new voice, melodic but unmistakably synthetic, echoed through the room. "Genetic verification complete. Greetings, Elira Veridon. I am Nexus, guardian of House Veridon's secure archives. Emergency protocols have been triggered due to detection of an imminent existential threat. Elira shared a startled look with Leon. What threat? The precursor weapon system called Void Cascade has been partially activated by unauthorized users. Current activation at 12%, estimated full activation in 14 standard days, with a 0.02% chance of controlled detonation, and a 97.3% chance of cascading failure leading to a sector-wide extinction event. Leon's face went pale. They're about to wipe out the entire sector, possibly even their own worlds. They're unaware, Elira whispered. They believe they're unlocking a weapon they can command. The AI continued. This repository holds complete schematics of the Void Cascade system, including protocols for deactivation. Do you want to proceed with data extraction? Yes, Elira replied firmly. The pendant's glow grew brighter, and Lyra gasped. Her back arched as information surged straight into her mind. Leon caught her as she swayed, steadying her until the transfer finished and the pendant's light faded. She sank against his chest, breathing heavily. I know how to stop it, she murmured against his skin, but I'll need help. Leon stroked her hair, his thoughts racing. The Galactic Council. Elira shook her head, too slow, too political. We need direct action. She looked up at him, violet eyes intense. We need humans. Why specifically humans? The precursor systems have biological security measures. They respond to particular neural patterns. Patterns that, by some cosmic twist, are strikingly similar to human brainwaves. She gently touched his face with reverence. Your kind is the key. That's the real reason my family fears humanity. Not your adaptability, but your biological compatibility with the most powerful tech in the galaxy. Leon whistled softly. No wonder they want us out of the way. The excavation site is on Terrace Minor, a moon in the Veridon system. Elira explained, heavily guarded, but I know some ways in. With your skills and my knowledge, we might just pull it off, Leon finished. He grinned, the thrill of a risky mission pumping through him. So we're going to steal an ancient superweapon right from under your murderous family's nose and save the galaxy in the process, she added with a smile that made his chest tighten. Leon drew her closer, relishing the sensation of her against him. On Earth, this would be considered one extraordinary third date. Elira chuckled, her voice warming his core. Is that what we're doing? Dating? Well, we've had dinner, nearly died once or twice, and shared some pretty intense moments. Leon's hands traced the shimmering patterns on her back, and in smuggler speak, that's practically a long-term thing. Her face softened as she leaned in to kiss him. You humans have such peculiar customs, she whispered against his lips. But I'm finding I actually enjoy them. The kiss grew deeper, and for a moment, the looming crisis faded into the background. There was only this each other, a bond that went beyond species and circumstances. When they finally parted, Leon's forehead rested against hers. We should get going. How long until we're in Veridon space? 3 days at max speed, Elira replied, hesitating as she pulled back. We'll need to stop first, to gather equipment and allies. I already have a place in mind, Leon said, already plotting a route in his head. An old friend runs a trading post at Helios Station. If anyone can get us what we need, it's him. As they dressed and prepared to head back to the cockpit, Elira paused, her expression suddenly showing vulnerability. Leon, I appreciate you trusting me, helping me out. He took her hand, giving it a gentle squeeze. That's what people do. We support each other even when the odds are against us. He winked, especially then. Helios Station floated in space like a tarnished coin. Its once shining hull was now patched and weathered after decades of use. The massive trading hubs served as neutral ground for dozens of species, making it a perfect place to vanish or to find those who had. Leon docked the Nomad's fortune in a quiet bay, paying extra for privacy and little paperwork. Elira had dressed in less eye-catching clothes, dark pants and a hooded jacket to hide her distinctive features, but her lavender skin and striking eyes would still stand out. Stay close, Leon murmured as they moved into the busy main corridor. My contact spot is in the lower markets. The station's interior was a chaos of sights, sounds, and smells. Vendors hawked rare goods from 100 worlds. Their voices competed with the drone of machinery and the chatter of a dozen diverse languages. Elira pressed close to Leon's side, overwhelmed by the sensory overload. "Your kind thrives in this chaos," she noted, watching a group of human traders fiercely bargaining with a six-armed merchant. "Most Veridons would find this off-putting." Leon smiled. "Humans adapt. It's what we do." They descended through several levels, the surroundings gradually becoming more forsaken until they reached a plain, unremarkable door marked only by a faded blue symbol. "Martin?" Leon called out as they stepped into a cluttered shop filled with a bizarre mix of tech. A rough voice answered from behind a mountain of equipment. "That better be Leon Durand, or I'm reaching for my blaster." A solid man with a salt-and-pepper beard appeared. His weathered face lit up with a grin at the sight of Leon. The two men clasped forearms in greeting. "Still kicking, you lucky bastard," Martin said, clapping Leon on the shoulder before turning his gaze to Elira. His face immediately tightened, his demeanor shifting into something more serious. "An intriguing company." "This is Elira," Leon said. "She's a Veridon," Martin finished, his hand drifting toward his hip. "I recognize the markings." "What's she doing here?" "She's here to save your skin along with everyone else in this sector," Leon replied. "We need your help, Martin, and your discretion." Martin studied both of them for a long pause before letting out a heavy sigh. "Let's go to the back room." Once they were in a secure chamber equipped with signal jamming tech, Leon outlined their situation while Martin listened in stunned silence. "A precursor weapon," he finally said. "If the Veridons are foolish enough to try activating it, power tends to make people overconfident," Elira added. "My family believes they can control forces they don't fully understand." Martin leaned back, stroking his beard thoughtfully. "And now you need a team to break into the most heavily guarded system in the quadrant. You don't ask for small favors, do you?" "When have I ever?" Leon replied with a crooked smile. Martin admitted he might have some contacts, but they wouldn't come cheap and would need convincing. Elira dismissed that, pulling a small data chip from her pendant. "This chip has access codes to offshore accounts, more than enough to buy the entire station." Martin whistled softly. "That'll be useful. Stay here." While Martin made his calls, Leon and Elira explored the back room, which also served as Martin's living space. Elira paused before a shelf filled with Earth artifacts, books, photos, and small sculptures. "Humans make such beautiful things," she said softly, her fingers brushing a carved wooden figure. "My people value permanence, perfection. We never craft from materials that will decay." "Maybe that's our strength," Leon offered, moving behind her. "Knowing our time is short, we make it count." She turned to face him, their bodies nearly pressed in the tight space. "Is that why you live so fiercely?" He murmured, tucking a strand of white hair behind her ear, "Probably. Or maybe we just recognize good when we see it." The silence between them felt heavy with unspoken feelings until Martin's return shattered the moment. "I've got 3 potential options," he announced. "They'll be here within the hour." True to his word, Martin's recruits showed up promptly. First was Ember Case, a slim woman with cybernetic implants visible at her temples and wrists. Her dark eyes scanned the room with clinical focus. "Ember's the best tech expert I know," Martin said. "She's got a personal grudge against the Veridons. They took over her research facility on Proxima 4. They killed my entire team," Ember said blankly. "I'm in." Then came Daniel Jackson, a towering man with military poise and scars that told stories of tough battles. Former Earth Defense Force, Martin introduced him. "He's skilled in infiltration and extraction." "I'd heard whispers about precursor tech," Daniel said, his deep voice filling the small room. "If the Veridons have uncovered some, humanity needs to be there." The last member to join their team was Dr. Kai Emerson, a quiet man with keen eyes and steady hands. Xenobiologist Martin explained, he's studied precursor artifacts for 20 years before the academic world branded him a lunatic. "They're real," Kai simply stated, "and they're dangerous. I've been trying to warn people about this for decades." As Martin briefed the team on their mission, Leon watched the interactions unfold. Though they came from different worlds, the humans quickly fell into a cohesive planning flow. Alyra observed them with interest. "Your species is extraordinary," she whispered to Leon. "In Veridon society, establishing a hierarchy would take days of political games. Humans get straight to the point when survival's at stake," Leon replied. Later, as they got the quarters ready for their new crew members aboard the Nomad's Fortune, Alyra pulled Leon into their cabin. Her eyes shimmered with an emotion he couldn't quite place. "What is it?" he asked. "I've spent my life studying humans from a distance," she said, her fingers tracing the curve of his face. "Your resilience, your adaptability, but I never understood where your strength really comes from until now." "And what's that?" he prompted. "Connection," she answered simply. "You forge bonds so quickly, so deeply. My people would see it as a weakness, but to me, it's your greatest power." Leon pulled her closer, the familiar thrill of her body against his bubbling up again. "Maybe you're becoming a little human yourself," he teased. Her laugh was soft against his neck. "Maybe I am, and honestly, I don't mind at all." As their lips met, Leon suddenly knew with total clarity that, whatever happened on Terrace Minor, whatever dangers lurked ahead, this bond, this extraordinary link between their worlds, was worth fighting for. "We've got a problem," Ember declared urgently as she burst into the ship's common area where the crew was going over their infiltration plans. Her cybernetic implants flickered with agitation as she held up a small metallic object between her thumb and forefinger. Found this embedded in the ship's communication array, Leon recognized it instantly, an attracting beacon. "High-end Veridon military tech," Ember confirmed. "They've been tailing us ever since." "Well, I can't specify exactly when it was placed there." Everyone's eyes turned to Lyra, her face suddenly stiff. "It wasn't me," she said firmly. "Not intentionally, at least." She reached for her pendant, studying it with a new suspicion. The red gemstone shimmered quietly in the ship's lighting. "Nextus," she asked the AI, "is this pendant giving away our location?" The AI's smooth voice responded. Secondary protocols were installed in this unit by Matriarch Veridon before the transfer of ownership. Location tracking is part of those protocols. A tense silence settled over the group. Daniel's hand moved instinctively toward his weapon. "You led them right to us," he growled. "I didn't know," Lyra insisted, her violet eyes wide with genuine shock. "My grandmother, she must have expected I might rebel someday." Leon stepped in between her and the increasingly hostile crew. "If she wanted to betray us, why would she even mention the tracking device?" Before anyone could reply, the ship's proximity alarm blared loudly. Kai hurried to the viewport, swearing softly. A Veridon warship was approaching quickly. Leon moved to the controls, preparing evasive maneuvers, when the communication system suddenly activated. The holographic display flickered on, revealing a male Veridon with features eerily similar to Alarus, lavender skin and white hair, though his was cut short in a military style. "Sister," he said, his voice cold and calm, "you've led us on quite the chase." "Terran," Alara replied, stepping forward, "I should have known father would send you." "The High Commander sends his regards," Terran said with a faint smirk, though he seemed rather disappointed in your choice of company. His gaze drifted over the humans with thinly veiled contempt, especially your companion. The way he emphasized the word may made Leon clenched his jaw. "What do you want, Terran?" Alaror demanded. "A meeting. Just you and me. No weapons, no tricks." Leon immediately shook his head, "No way." Terran's face grew colder. "This isn't a request. My cruiser has your ship and a tractor beam. You're not going anywhere without my say-so." Sure enough, the Nomad's Fortune vanished as unseen forces gripped it. "And if I refuse," Alara challenged, "then I'll be forced to destroy your ship and everyone on board." Terran answered with a chillingly casual tone, which would be rather unfortunate. Alyra and Leon shared a glance. In that brief moment, they communicated silently, concern, resolve, and something deeper that had been building since they first met. "I'll meet with you," Alara finally said, "but Leon will come alone." Terran's eyes narrowed, but he gave a brief nod. "Very well, 1 hour at my ship." The transmission ended abruptly. "It's a trap," Daniel said plainly. Of course it is, Leon agreed, but it's also a chance. While we're talking with her brother, you three can disable the tractor beam and get the ship ready for a quick escape. Ember nodded. I can hack their systems remotely if I get close enough. And I'll need a sample of that tracking tech, Kai added. I might be able to tweak some descent fall signals. As the team finalized their makeshift plan, Leon pulled Elira aside. Do you trust your brother? He asked softly. Trust is complicated in my family, she responded, but Taryn and I were close once. He's ambitious, but not cruel like our father. Leon studied her face, looking for any signs of lying. Finding none, he gently cupped her cheek. Just be careful. I've grown to quite like having you around. Her lips shifted into a gentle smile as she leaned into his touch. Just rather fond? Okay, maybe a little more, he admitted with a smile, drawing her nearer. Their foreheads met in a tender gesture that had become their quiet ritual. In my world, she whispered, what's happening between us would be considered treason. Veridons don't form bonds outside our kind. And what do you see it as? Leon questioned. Her violet eyes locked onto his, vulnerable perhaps for the first time since they met. Liberation. An hour later, they stood in the sleek, sterile docking bay of Terran's warship. Unlike the cozy, lived-in feel of human ships, Veridon vessels exuded cold efficiency. Every surface gleamed like a mirror, every line sharp and deliberate. Terran awaited them, flanked by guards clad in the sand-colored armor typical for Veridon military. Up close, the family resemblance between the siblings was even more evident, though Terran's features remained softened by warmth. Leon's were all sharp angles and tight control. Disarm yourselves, he ordered. Reluctantly, Leon handed over his blaster, while Elira removed several concealed weapons from her clothes. Terran raised an eyebrow at her impressive collection. You're always so thorough, he noted. Follow me. He led them through corridors lined with Veridon soldiers, all of whom eyed the human with open disdain. Leon met their gazes evenly, refusing to be intimidated. Finally, they reached a private chamber where Terran waved his guards away. Once alone, his posture softened slightly. You look good, sister, he said, his tone warming a little. Exile suits you. Cut the act, Terran, Elira shot back. What are you really here for? Terran's face hardened. Just to warn you, father has lost his grip over the precursor weapon. The excavation has gone beyond safety limits. We know about the Voidcast Gate, Leon cut in. We understand what could happen if it's fully activated. Terran's eyes widened slightly. So you see how urgent this is. The weapon's already at 18% activation, faster than your AI predicted. We might have only 10 days, not 14. Why tell us this? Elira asked warily. Why not stop it yourself? Because I've been removed from the project, Terran admitted, his voice strained with frustration. I've questioned father's methods too many times. Now I command this patrol ship while lesser minds oversee our destruction. He looked directly at Elira. I need your help, sister, but there's a price. There always is with you, she replied tiredly. When this ends, you come back home. Resuming your place in the hierarchy, helping me steer our people toward a more moderate course. Elira looked at Leon, a trace of pain flickering across her face. And if I decline, I can't help you, Terran simply said. And we all die. Silence pressed heavily in the private chamber aboard Terran's vessel. Elira's expression grew cold, her silvery patterns on lavender skin seeming to fade with her mood. You're asking me to choose between saving the galaxy and my own happiness, she finally said. Terran's face softened just a little. I'm asking you to do your duty to our people. The Veridon bloodline has led our civilization for thousands of years. With father's judgment compromised, we need you. Leon watched the siblings, his mind darting around. The plan to cut off the tractor beam should be in motion by now, Ember working her tech magic while Daniel and Kai prepared to leave swiftly. But the news of the accelerated timeline changed everything. What exactly are you offering? Leon asked, catching Terran's attention. security codes to bypass terrace miners' outer defenses. Taryn listed patrol schedules, access points to restricted areas at the excavation site. He turned to his sister, adding, "But only if Elira agrees to return home afterward." Elira's gaze met Leon's, a silent apology flickering in her violet eyes. "I accept your terms," she said softly. Taryn nodded in approval. "The data is already being sent to your ship. You have 8 days before the weapon reaches critical activation. Use that time wisely." He gestured toward the door. "You're free to leave." Leon looked suspicious. "Just like that?" he asked. "Just like that," Taryn confirmed. "Though I should warn you, if you try to run, every Veridon ship in this quadrant will hunt you down. The only way forward is through." As they headed back to the docking bay, Leon kept his voice low. "You can't seriously be planning to go back to them." "I don't really have a choice," Elira replied. Null, role: assistant. "I convinced myself I was acting for noble reasons, but part of it was simply cowardice." Leon argued that there's nothing cowardly about craving freedom. "Maybe not," she admitted, "but there's something selfish about prioritizing my desires over the needs of billions." Leon stepped nearer, grasping her hands. "And what about us?" "Yes." The question lingered between them, heavy with the silence of all the words left unspoken. The bond that had evolved from hesitant partnership into something neither of them expected. "These days with you have been," she hesitated, searching for the right way to say it. "They've shown me a way of living I never knew was possible. Humans feel everything so deeply, so fully. You don't hold back. Is that a bad thing?" he asked, thumb tracing gentle circles on her wrist. "It's beautiful," she whispered, "terrifying, but beautiful." Leon drew her in, one hand sliding to rest on her lower back. "Then let's make the most of the time we have." Their lips met again, this time with a fresh sense of urgency, the looming knowledge of their upcoming separation fueling every touch. Clothes were quickly shed, barriers, both physical and emotional, letting go until only sensation and connection remained. Afterwards, they lay intertwined, Elira's head resting on Leon's chest as he traced delicate patterns on her skin. "In Veridon culture," she whispered, "physical intimacy is primarily for procreation. Pleasure, they believe, is optional." Leon laughed softly. "Your people are really missing out." She shifted, propping herself on an elbow, her strange eyes studying his face. "Humans approach everything with such passion, even though they know it's fleeting. Maybe that's why Leon suggested it, because knowing it's just a moment makes it all the more meaningful." The liar's expression grew thoughtful. "My people live 3 times longer than humans. Our planning spans centuries, not just decades. Maybe that's why we've become so detached, so calculated." "Not everyone," Leon said softly, brushing a strand of white hair from her face. She offered a wistful smile. "No, not all of us." The ship's intercom crackled suddenly, Ember's voice interrupting the quiet. "Captain, we've reviewed Commander Taryn's data. You'll want to see this." In the command center, Ember displayed a detailed holographic map of the Terrace Minor dig site, the sprawling complex buried beneath the moon's empty surface. Centered on the precursor artifact, shaped like an enormous inverted pyramid. "The weapons core is located here," Elira pointing to the lowest level. "Based on my pendant's data, we must access the control system and activate the shutdown. And according to your brother's intel," Kay added, "security is toughest right here, and right here." He pointed out 3 aspects around the core. "So, we need a distraction," Daniel decided. Leon nodded. "Daniel and I will stir up trouble at the main security center. Ember, you and Kay will take a liar to the core. Your tech skills and her knowledge of the deactivation process should do the trick." Ember asked then, glancing between Leon and Elira. A tense silence fell over everyone. After a moment, Elira said firmly, "I will do what I owe my brother. The rest of you head back to human space with proof of what happened. The Galactic Council needs to know how close we came to disaster." Leon kept a calm face, but the thought of saying goodbye to her hurt him. "We have 3 days until we reach Terrace Minor. Rest up, get ready, and check your gear. This won't be simple. When the meeting ended, Kay stayed behind. Captain, can I have a word? Harmony between your species. As Leon took this in, a flicker of hope sparked inside him. Maybe fate had something else in store. Terrace Minor loomed ahead, a barren moon circling a gas giant. Its surface bore the scars of mining and research stations. From above, it looked harmless, a mere outpost in the vastness of space. Only a few aboard the Nomad's Fortune knew it concealed a weapon powerful enough to tear apart the sector's fabric. As they approached the designated landing point, Leon kept his hands firm on the controls, tension curling in his stomach despite his steadiness. Terrence's clearance codes better work. They will, Elira reassured him from the co-pilot's seat. She'd been unusually quiet since their last night together, as if she was already bracing for their inevitable goodbye. Suddenly, the ship's comm crackled to life. Unidentified vessel requesting authorization codes immediately. Clarence approved, proceed to landing pad Delta 7. Relief spread through the cockpit. Step 1 complete. Remember, Leon told the crew as they prepared to disembark, stay on the plan. Daniel and I will cause a distraction at the main security hub. Ember, Kai and Elira head for the core. We meet back at the ship in 90 minutes, no deviations. The unspoken weight of what wasn't said lingered in the air. After this mission, Elira wouldn't be coming back with them. Terrence's codes granted access to maintenance uniforms and security badges, letting them move through the outer levels of the facility undetected. The excavation site was enormous, a maze of hallways and research stations surrounding the ancient precursor structure. This is where we part ways, Leon announced as they reached a fork in the road. He turned to Elira, intending to say something heartfelt, something that summed up everything she had come to mean to him. Instead, she stepped forward and kissed him passionately, unbothered by anyone watching. For good luck, she whispered against his lips. Humans don't usually believe in that stuff. Maybe we're starting to, he replied with a half grin. With one last lone look, the group went their separate ways. Leon and Daniel headed for the security center, while Elira led Amber and Kai further into the facility toward the weapons division. The distraction unfolded exactly as planned, perhaps too flawlessly. The explosives they'd placed in an abandoned storage area caused enough chaos to pull most of the security team away from their posts. Leon and Daniel had just taken out the last of the guards when the main doors of the facility slid open. A tall, commanding male figure stepped inside, flanked by elite guards. Unlike Elira's lavender skin, his complexion darkened to a rich purple with age, the silvery patterns more intricate and prominent. His white hair was styled elaborately, and he wore robes so fine they seemed to play with the light, absorbing it and reflecting it at the same time. Leon recognized him instantly. High Commander Veradon, Elira's father. Secure them, the commander ordered sharply, voice cold and commanding, and find my daughter. Deep within the facility, Elira sensed a change in the air, a shift in pressure, a faint vibration through the floor. My father's here, she said, her voice strained. We need to move fast. They had reached the core of the precursor monument, a massive chamber dominated by an inverted pyramid of what looked like liquid metal levitating in mid-air. Energy pulses shimmered across its surface, increasing in frequency by the second. The void cascade, Kai breathed, left him in awe despite the danger. It's beautiful. And deadly, Ember reminded him, already working to connect her gear with the alien control panel. Activation was at 23% and rising, we don't have much time. Elira moved toward the control interface, a crystalline structure that lit up when she touched it. She explained that deactivation needed both of them. A Veradon working with a human, together. But Kai started to speak. I know what Kai said, Elira cut her off. We'll figure it out. They had just initiated the intricate sequence when the chamber doors hissed open. High Commander Veradon stepped in, pulling Leon and Daniel along, both bound with energy cuffs. Terran shadowed his face, unreadable. Step away from the control's daughter, the commander ordered. Elira's hand froze, but she stayed put. Father, you don't see what you're doing. This weapon can't be controlled. It'll wipe out everything, including us. He dismissed such dramatic claims with a sneer. The precursors were masters of precision. This weapon would eradicate the human threat and leave our worlds untouched. That's not how it works, Kai cut in, earning himself a contemptuous glare. Silence, human. Your arrogance knows no limits, thinking you understand technology that predates your very evolution. Null, role: assistant. You formed an attachment to this creature? He asked, disgust evident in his tone. Alyra met his gaze defiantly. I love him. The simple declaration hung in the air. The first time she'd spoken those words aloud. Leon felt them resonate through him like a physical force. The commander released her, stepping back as if burned. Impossible. Our kind does not feel, Alyra challenged. Love? Is that why Mother left? Because you convinced yourself these emotions were beneath you? A flicker of something, pain perhaps, crossed the commander's face before his mask of authority returned. Enough, I will complete what I began. As he reached for the controls, a lyrometer move. With lightning speed, she grabbed Leon's arm, breaking his restraints with a device concealed in her palm. Just happen? Did your father actually give us his blessing? Alyra laughed, the sound bright with relief and joy. Not quite a blessing, more like a stay of execution. I'll take it, Leon replied, pulling her closer. So what happens now? She looked up at him, violet eyes shining with possibilities. Now we write our own fate. In a swift motion, she yanked him toward the control panel. Then she shouted, their hands colliding on the crystalline surface together. The chamber flooded with blinding light as the interface responded to their touch, to their connection. The pendant around Alyra's neck pulsed in time with the ancient tech, sending the deactivation sequence straight into their minds. The commander watched in amazement as the energy pulses in the void cascade started to slow and then disappeared. What are you doing? Leon asked, his voice strained from effort. Saving everyone, he replied, including you. The deactivation was agonizing, tapping into something deeper than physical strength. It drew from their emotions, their bond, their shared memories. Leon felt as if his very soul was being channeled through the old technology, merging with Alyra's in a way that went beyond the physical. True power lies in connection, not isolation. The commander looked at his daughter, cradled in a human's arms, and for the first time in centuries, he truly saw her. The silvery patterns on Alyra's skin shimmered with an intensity he'd never experienced before, responding to her feelings and her bond with the human. Null, role: assistant.